Hey YouTube, it's your girl Stacy Celeste and I'm back with you guys with yet another video. This video is going to be all about my fictional anticipated releases of 2023. So this video is only fiction books. I do plan to do another video for nonfiction because I do also like to get into nonfiction and, elevate my mind, even though fictional books also give me that intellectual feel sometimes as well. All right, so I scoured the internet at different sites that had different different new releases for the year, and I came up with these top 10. At the end of the video, I also have some, 3 other honorable mentions because I couldn't just do the 10. There was too many that I feel like because I'm a mood reader that I could potentially pick up instead of even some of the ones that are on my top 10. So yeah, without further ado, let's just get into this. A little disclaimer, I do have some notes up on my computer screen. So if you see me looking this way, it's not because I'm, wandering. It's just because I'm taking a look at my notes. How I wanted to do this is I wanted to give you guys the book, but then also read the synopsis and tell you guys why I'm kind of interested in it, and that way you can kind of start getting a feel for the type of stuff that interests me and the books that I kind of gravitate to. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get started. All right, so the first book is The Survivalist by Shoshana Cauley. Now on Goodreads, this is rated at 3.3 stars, so it's not rated that good. But I'll go ahead and give you guys the backstory and then tell you guys why I put this on my list. And this is already been released. January 10th, 2023 was the release date. So in the wake of her parents' death, Aretha, a habitually single black lawyer, has only one obsession in life: success, until she falls for Aaron, a coffee entrepreneur, moving into his Brooklyn brownstone to live along with his Hurricane Sandy traumatized, illegal gun stockpiling, optimized soy protein eating, bunker building roommates. Aretha finds that her dreams of making partner are slipping away, replaced by an underground world, one of selling guns and training for a doomsday that's maybe just around the corner. All right, guys, so that seems all over the place, but the reason why I really want to read this is because it reminds me a little bit of The Other Black Girl, which is kind of a satire, and it's about a young lady who works in publishing industry, and it was a very hit or miss book, but I liked it. I am random like that. I really liked The Other Black Girl. It was really quirky. First time I started reading it, I put it down because I was like, what the heck is this? But then I picked it back up and I liked it. And this just kind of gives me that vibe. And they even say it here for readers of Victor LaValle's The Changeling, Paul Beatty's The Sellout, and Zakiya Harris's The Other Black Girl. The Survivalist is a darkly humorous novel from a smart and relevant new literary voice that's packed with tension, curiosity, wit, and unafraid to ask the questions most relevant to a new generation of Americans. Does it make sense to climb the corporate ladder? What exactly are the politics of gun ownership? And in a world where it's nearly impossible for young people to earn enough money to afford stable housing, what does it take in order to survive? So for me, the key things there: The Other Black Girl, random, kooky, weird story that I liked. I always like an environment, I always like a New York environment book. I right now work in corporate America, so I'm always interested in reading stories about people at work. Sometimes I do enjoy that. I know some people don't enjoy that. The other book that kind of reminds me here is Black Buck, which I also really enjoyed. Which is a novel about a young man who goes into sales and is in this very get out-ish situation. And yeah, it's really kooky, random, but I really enjoyed it. So that's kind of my main reasons why I wanted to read this. It sounds very weird and similar to some of the books that I've read in the past. It's set in New York City, which is always good. And then there's that corporate ladder piece that I always tend to gravitate to just because it kind of mimics where I'm at in my life from a career perspective. So yes. All right, so the next book on my list that already came out was released January 31st, 2023. I've heard really good reviews on this, and actually Goodreads has this rated right now at 4.23 stars with over 10,000 ratings. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be a good book. And that is Mamie by Jessica George. And oh wait, it's Mama. Mamie. Mamie. They gotta hear Mama. All right, anyways, but real quick synopsis here. It's fair to say that Maddie's life in London is far from rewarding, with a mother who spends most of her time in Ghana, yet still somehow manages to be overbearing. Maddie is the primary caretaker for her father, who suffers from advanced stage Parkinson's. At work, her boss is a nightmare, and Maddie is tired of always being that only black person at every meeting. So again, we have the corporate piece. We have the stuff that kind of mimics where I'm at in my life right now. London is tricky for me because sometimes I don't like the London backdrop. I don't know. I'm very hit or miss. I've read books based in London that I loved, and I've read them that I just didn't really particularly feel for. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But further on the synopsis, it says, when her mom returns from her latest trip to Ghana, Maddie leaps at the chance to get out of the family home and finally start living. A self-acknowledged late boomer, she's ready to experience some important firsts. She finds a flat share, says yes to after-work drinks, pushes for more recognition in her career, and throws herself into the bewildering world of internet dating. But it's not long before its tragedy strikes, forcing Maddie to face the true nature of her unconventional family and the perils and rewards of putting her heart on the line. Smart, funny, and deeply affecting, Jessica George's Mamie deals with the themes of our time with humor, poignancy, from familiar duty and racism to female pleasure, the complexity of love, and the life-saving power of friendship. Most importantly, it explores what it feels like to be torn between two homes and cultures, and it celebrates finally being able to find where you belong. So this one, I feel like, is one that just is in alignment with where I'm at in my life in a lot of ways. And I think that I will, based on the already rating, I think that the writing is probably really good, and I'm very excited to kind of see and get to know Maddie. And yeah, I think I'll be able to see some parallels. So I'm really, really excited about this book. This is one that I might pick up pretty soon, maybe even in this month. All right, so next on my list, at first, y'all, this was right on the outside of my top 10, but as I started to think about it, I was like, okay, y'all, let me put this on my top 10 because I really could see myself reading it. The thing that kind of swayed me away from it is that it is a young adult book, and sometimes young adult is very hit or miss. Right now, I'm actually reading a young adult that I'm absolutely in love with. I'm almost finished with, and I will let you know what I think about that. But young adult is hit or miss for me, but I just think this might be a hit. And that is Promise Boys by Nick Brooks. And Goodreads, they have this currently rated at 1,056 stars. It came out, I believe, on January 31st, just like Mamie. And really quick, I'll read you the Goodreads synopsis. It says, a blockbuster dark academia mystery about three teens of color who must investigate their principal's murder to clear their own names. This page-turning thriller is perfect for fans of Karen Manimus, Jason Reynolds, Angie Thomas, and Holly Jackson. It goes further to say the prestigious Urban Promise Prep School might look pristine on the outside, but deadly secrets lurk within. When the principal ends up murdered on school premises and the cops are sniffing around, a trio of students, JB, Ramon, and Trey, emerge as the prime suspects. They had the means, they had the motive, and they may have had the murder weapon. But with all three maintaining their innocence, they must band together to track down the real killer before they are arrested or is the true culprit hiding among them? Find out who killed Principal Moore in Nick Brooks' murder mystery, Promise Boys. So I think that is one of those books that is just going to be very captivating. It's going to, you know, probably read very, very fast. I'm always down for some dark academia. So that sounds really, really dope. And that's one of the reasons why I was like, okay, dark academia seems like it's a thriller, seems like it's going to go fast. Let's put that on the list. So Promise Boys by Nick Brooks. Let's see what that thing does. The next book on my list is called The Last Tale of the Flower Bride, and it is by Roshani Chokski. I might be saying that wrong. This book, it was released on Valentine's Day on February 14, 2023, so it is available on Goodreads. This is the synopsis. First of all, it's 3.85 stars with 2,968 ratings. But the synopsis here, it says, a sumptuous, gothic-infused story about a marriage that is unraveled by dark secrets, a friendship cursed to end in tragedy, and the danger of believing in fairy tales. The breathtaking adult debut from New York Times best-selling author Roshani Chokshi. Once upon a time, a man who believed in fairy tales married a beautiful, mysterious woman named Indigo Maxwell Castaneda. He was a scholar of myths. She was an heiress to a fortune. They exchanged gifts and stories and believed they would live happily ever after in exchange for her love. Indigo extracted a promise that her bridegroom would never pry into her past. But when Indigo learns that her estranged aunt is dying and the couple is forced to return to her childhood home, the House of Dreams, the bridegroom will soon find himself unable to resist. For within the crumbling manor's extravagant rooms and musty halls, there lurks the shadow of another girl, Azure, Indigo's dearest childhood friend who suddenly disappeared. As the house slowly reveals his wife's secrets, the bridegroom will be forced to choose between reality and fantasy, and even if doing so threatens to destroy their marriage or their lives. Combining the lush, haunting atmosphere, Mexican Gothic with the dreamy enchantment of Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, The Last Tale of the Flower Bride is a spellbinding and darkly romantic page-turner about love, lies, secrets, and betrayal, and the stories we tell ourselves to survive. So, you know, this one I was a little hesitant about because I did read Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia, I believe. And I didn't love Mexican Gothic. I did not love the book. I don't know if it's one that I just maybe missed it or just didn't get myself focused enough on the book as I was reading it. I don't know. But I did not love Mexican Gothic. Now, I love the cover, but I did not love the book. However, the premise of the book, the thrilling nature of the book, the house that, you know, kind of had all these secrets within it and all this weirdness going on, that did give me excited. And that's the same thing that gets me excited here. Anything Gothic, I do like the Mexican setting. I think that this being kind of a love story and like a, you know, dark secret story is something that's very much so attractive to me. So yeah, I am excited to pick this up and see what I think about it. And that came out in February. So I don't know if I'll get to this one this month, but hopefully sometime this year I'll let you guys know what I think. All right, so the next book, now this one I am really excited about because I've not read this person's writing before. However, I've heard beautiful things. This next book is by the same author of The Great Believers, Rebecca Makkai, and her new title is going to be I Have Some Questions for You. This was actually released at the end of last month, February 21st, and here is the Goodreads synopsis. So Goodreads has this at 4 stars also. A successful film professor and podcaster, Bodie Kane is content to forget her past, the family tragedy that marred her adolescence, her 4 largely miserable years at a New Hampshire boarding school, and the murder of her former roommate, Talia Keith, in the spring of their senior year. Though the circumstances surrounding Talia's death and the conviction of the school's athletic trainer, Omar Evans, are hotly debated online, Bodhi needs to let sleeping dogs lie. But when the Granby school invites her back to teach a course, Bodhi is inexorably drawn to the case and its increasingly apparent flaws. In their rush to convict Omar, did the school and the police overlook other suspects? Is the real killer still out there? As she falls down the very rabbit hole that she was so determined to avoid, Bodhi begins to wonder if she's as much of an outsider at Granbury as she thought. If perhaps back in 1995 she knew something that might have held the key to solving the case. And I have some questions for you. Award-winning author Rebecca Makkai has crafted her most irresistible novel yet, a stirring investigation into collective memory and a deeply felt examination of one woman's reckoning with her past, with a transfixing mystery at its heart. Timely, hypnotic, and populated with a cast of unforgettable characters, I Have Some Questions for You is at once a compulsive page turner and a literary triumph. So, what made me pick this up is that I've heard so much about The Great Believers, and I have a lot of confidence that Rebecca Makkai is an excellent writer and probably writes excellent characters. Also, you have that kind of dark academia type vibe to this one, and I also really liked that the character was a professor, a film professor, and a podcaster. I think that's a really interesting space to be in. So I'm really excited for this book because I think that it could potentially be one of those that is just very well written, very entertaining, and that I will kind of fall in love or fall out of love or have very conflicting feelings about the characters. So I'm super excited about this one. And like I said, this did come out February 21st, so you guys can pick that up right now. Have you guys read this? Don't tell me don't tell me because I think this will be something I pick up pretty soon. So this next book, I was kind of back and forth about including it, but after reading the synopsis, I was just like, okay, let me include this because I think this is something that has some unique perspective, and I think it's something that I would definitely enjoy. The next book that I have on my anticipated release list is What Happened to Ruthie Ramirez by Claire Jimenez, and this book is set to go be released on March 7th, so in just a few days. And on Goodreads, it is rated at 3.79 stars. So, synopsis says, a deeply powerful, raw debut novel of a Puerto Rican family in Staten Island who discovers their long-missing sister is potentially alive and cast on a reality show, and they set out to bring her home. The Ramirez women of Staten Island orbit around absence. When 13-year-old middle child Ruthie disappeared after track practice without a trace, it left the family scarred and scrambling. One night, 12 years later, oldest sister Jessica spots a woman on her TV screen in Catfight, a raunchy reality show. She rushes to tell her younger sister, Nina. This woman's hair is dyed red and she calls herself Ruby, but the beauty mark under her left eye is instantly recognizable. Could it be Ruthie after all this time? The years since Ruthie's disappearance haven't been easy on the Ramirez family. It's 2008 and their mother Dolores still struggles with the loss. Jessica juggles a newborn baby with her hospital job, and Nina, after 4 successful years at college, has returned home to medical school rejections and is forced to work in the mall, folding tiny bedazzled thongs at the lingerie store. After seeing maybe Ruthie on their television or their screen, Jessica and Nina hatch a plan to drive to where the show is filmed in search of their long-lost sister. When Dolores catches wind of their scheme, she insists on joining, along with her hot-stirring Holly roller best friend Irene. What follows is a family trip and a reckoning that will force the Ramirez women to finally face the past and look forward to the future with or without Ruthie in it. So this one, I think, is going to be more of a contemporary book. It's less like the other ones are like thrillers or dark academia or mysteries, that type of thing. And I think this one is going to be a little bit more contemporary. What drew me to it is the Puerto Rican family in Staten Island. So Staten Island, you already have You already have my New York feel, even though Staten Island's a little bit different. It's a little different feel than being in like Manhattan or something like that, but I still like the vibe. I like the New York vibe. The other part of this is that the family is Puerto Rican, so I've always been very interested in reading a lot of not just you know, Black stories, but Hispanic stories and stories from other you know, types of people. So that kind of drew me here. And I think too, the reality show piece, that is kind of weird. It's kind of random. And I just felt like this was one of those that it could be a hit or miss for me, but I'm hoping that it ends up being a hit. All right. So we are coming down to my last 4 books, and the 4th is The Human Origins of Beatrice Porter by Soraya Palmer. Now this book is set to be released at the end of this month, so the end of March 28th, 2023, and right now it has 25 ratings, so people that have read the book a little earlier, and they have it at just above 4 stars, at 4.8 stars. Honestly, I don't trust that one because there's so few people that rated it, so I really think with 25 ratings, you kind of really don't know what this story is going to be. So according to Goodreads, this is what it's about, and you guys will see very, very soon why I picked it. Folktale spirits animate this lively coming-of-age tale of 2 Jamaican Trinidadian sisters in Brooklyn grappling with their mother's illness, their father's infidelity, and the truth of their family's past. Sisters Zora and Sasha Porter are drifting apart, bearing witness to their father's violence and their mother's worsening illness. And unsettled, Zora escapes into her journal, dreaming of being a writer, while Sasha discovers sex and chest binding, spending more time with her new girlfriend than at home. So right there already, we have a Caribbean family. We have our Brooklyn, New York environment already starting off well. But the sisters, like their parents, must come together to answer to beings greater than themselves and reckon with the family secret buried in the past. Now this is the part that I think really took me, and it says, a tale told from the perspective of a mischievous narrator featuring the rolling calf who haunts butchers, Mama Delgo, who lives in the ocean, a vain tiger, and an outsmarted snake. The human origins of Beatrice Porter and other essential ghosts is set in a world as alive and unpredictable as Helen Oyemi's. I don't know what I say. Oyemi's. I don't know. But yeah. Just right there, this is, you have this sister, you have these sisterhood, you have, you know, a LGBTQ plus character, you have a Caribbean family, you have a Brooklyn setting, and you have magical things, weird magical things going on. This is check, 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 check. All the boxes check. And so I'm really, really excited to dive into this particular book. Like I said, this book comes out at the end of March. I can see myself picking this up in April and diving in. And so I cannot wait to let you guys know what I think coming up with this particular book. All right, so my last 3, not my top 3, my last 3. So none of these, just to reiterate, I think I said it before, these are rated based on when they are coming out and not so much which one I want to read more. So last 3. The first one here is A Yellow Face by R.F. Kuang. If you don't know, I think R.F. Kuang is the one that wrote Jade City and Babel. Oh no, not Jade City. It's Poppy War. So R.F. Kuang wrote Poppy War. I read the first book of Poppy War, but I still need to read the other 2 Poppy War books. So I enjoyed it. I think I gave it 3 stars. It was good. It was good. But I've heard a lot of great things about Babel, and Babel is another book that I really want to read this year. It's only 1 book, but I've heard that it's in a school setting, which is kind of up my alley, and I just heard that it's very, very good. A good read. So Yellowface right now has 858 ratings on Goodreads. It is just above 4 stars on Goodreads, and is set to come out May 16th, 2023. So there's a lot of people that reread or that have pre-read this, and it has a lot of decent ratings. So with that being said, let's get into the synopsis. So it says, what's the harm in a pseudonym? New York Times best-selling sensation Juniper Song is not who she says she is. She didn't write the book she claims she wrote, and she's most certainly not Asian American. In this chilling and hilariously cutting novel by R.F. Kuang, in the vein of White Ivy and the Other Black Girl, another reference to the other. See, this is interesting because The Other Black Girl, that was such a polarizing book. Most people that I know that read The Other Black Girl hated The Other Black Girl. So I'm seeing a lot of these new books taking on that same trend, and I'm not sure, like, you know, maybe they think like I think and we are on the same page, and maybe I'm going down the right direction because but it's interesting. It's very, very interesting. So I'm really, really excited with these books that are kind of like The Survivalist and this one here, that are kind of, playing off of that same, I would call it satire, maybe, of The Other Black Girl. I'm not even sure why they compared it. So it might not even be the satire of it, maybe more of the book industry type piece. But I'm interested how they do that. Because, in my opinion, a lot of times that is going to be a hit or miss type of genre or like a format of writing a book, right? So with that being said, let's keep going. Authors June Haywood and Athena Liu were supposed to be twin rising stars, same year at Yale, same debut year in publishing, but Athena's across genre literary darling, and June didn't even get a paperback release. Nobody wants stories about basic white girls, June thinks. So when June witnessed Athena's death in a freak accident, she acts on impulse. She steals Athena's just finished masterpiece, an experimental novel about the unsung contributions of Chinese laborers in the British and French war efforts during World War I. So what if June edits Athena's novel and sends it to her agent as her own work? So what if she lets her new publisher rebrand her as Juniper Song, complete with an ambiguously ethnic author photo? Doesn't this piece of history deserve to be told, whoever the teller? That's what June claims, and the New York Times bestseller list seems to agree. But June can't get away from Athena's shadow, and emerging evidence threatens to bring June's stolen success down around her. As June races to protect her secret, she discovers exactly how far she will go to keep what she thinks she deserves. With its totally immersive first-person voice, Yellowface takes on questions of diversity, racism, cultural appropriation, not only in the publishing industry, but the persistent erasure of Asian American voices and history by Western white society. R.F. Kuang's novel is timely, razor-sharp, and eminently readable. I cannot wait for this. I cannot wait for this, y'all. I cannot wait for this. I cannot wait for this. I cannot wait for this. Okay? Yes. Yellowface, we will be reading you. When did this come out? When did I say? May 16th. So I have to wait a while. But I will probably read this in May. Hold me to that, guys. Hold me to that. But this sounds really good. Okay? So let's keep it moving. I got 2 more books and then 3 more that I'm not going to go fully into, but that are like honorable mentions. So let's keep it moving so this won't be an hour-long video. All right. So the next book is Family Lore by Elizabeth Acevedo. And Elizabeth Acevedo has written some dope YA books. All right, so I fell absolutely in love with The Poet X. I don't think I got to read any of the other 2, but The Poet X was my jam. The audiobook is just beautiful. I cried, I think, reading that. Like, it was dope. And then Elizabeth Acevedo herself, I think I follow her on Instagram. She just seems like a really dope person. So I definitely need to pick up her other YAs, but for me, YA can be hit or miss. Poet X was good, but then I wasn't sure. This is her first adult novel, I believe. This is an adult novel. Yep, this is an adult novel, and it's called Family Lore by, did I already say that? I think I already said that. So this is Elizabeth Acevedo's first adult novel. Right now it has 63 ratings on Goodreads. So there's 63 people that read this before. Well, probably more than that, but that have rated it prior to its release. Right now it says that the release is to be in 2023. I didn't see a specific month here. Expected, okay, here it is. Expected is August 1st, 2023. So this will be a little bit while out. Right now it's at 4.43 stars on Goodreads, which is very promising, even though, like I said in the other book, it's only 63 ratings. So we can't really do anything with that, in my opinion. I think you need like 500 before I'm like, okay, you know. But let's go ahead and get into the synopsis. From best-selling National Book Award winning author Elizabeth Acevedo comes her first novel for adults, the story of one Dominican American family told through the voices of its women as they wait a gathering that will forever change their lives. So if you don't know Elizabeth Acevedo, she does a lot of books with Afro-Latina. She's an Afro-Latina, and she does a lot of books in that vein. Like most of her books are in that vein of like Afro-Latina in New York, which is a dope vibe. So you're already starting off good, Elizabeth. Flor has a gift. She can predict to the day when someone will die. So when she decides she wants a living, so this is my first time reading this synopsis, just so you know, because I just saw Elizabeth Acevedo adult and I put it on the list. So this is my first time reading it. So we're gonna go through this together. Flor has a gift. She can predict to the day when someone will die. So when she decides she wants a living wake, a party to bring her family and community together to celebrate the long life she's led, her sisters are surprised. Has Flor foreseen her own death or someone else's? Does she have other motives? She refused to tell her sisters Matilda, Pastora, and Camilla. But Flor isn't the only person with secrets. Matilda has tried for decades to cover the extent of her husband's infidelity, but she must now confront the true state of her marriage. Pastora is typically the most reserved sister, but Flor's wake motivates this driven woman to solve her siblings' problems. Camilla is the youngest sibling and often the forgotten one, but she's decided she no longer wants to be taken for granted. And the next generation cousins, Ona and Yadi, face tumult face tumult of their own. Yadi is reuniting with her first love, who was imprisoned when they were both still kids. Ona is married for years and attempting to conceive. Ona must decide whether it's worth it to keep trying to have a child, and the anthropology research has begun to feel lackluster. Spanning the 3 days prior to the wake, family lore traces the lives of each of the Marte women, weaving together past and present. Santo Domingo and New York City. Told with Elizabeth Acevedo's imitable and incandescent voice, this is an indelible portrait of sisters and cousins, aunts and nieces, one family's journey through history, helping them better navigate all that is to come. So this is giving me very much so contemporary vibes, and me knowing Elizabeth Acevedo's writing, I believe that this is going to be a character-driven book to me, and a relationship-driven book. So I'm very, very interested to see kind of how the sisters interact and how they, what comes of it. Because I feel like it's not going to be that plot-driven. Because I see the plot that there's a girl that can tell her, she can tell people are dying before they die, but I'm not seeing a whole lot of plot here. You guys let me know what you think. But I feel like what's going to carry this and what has carried it so far to the 4.43 rating is probably going to be the writing, and it's probably going to be the character development. So let me know what you guys think there. As always, I'm always excited about Elizabeth Acevedo. I'm not always excited about YA. I love the Poet X. So for her to write an adult book, I have to read it. There's no doubt. I will be picking this up in August when it comes out. God willing, obviously. But for all of this, God willing, right? God willing for everything. But anyways, I plan to pick this up in August. And yeah, we'll see what she is about. All right, so the last book on my list is What Never Happened by Rachel Housel Hall. And this book is set to come out in July of this year, and right now it only has 60 ratings, but it is 3.65 stars, so I'm not sure about that. Like I said, we still need some more ratings for me to really feel out what this is going to be about, but let's go ahead and read the synopsis so you guys can see why I put it on to this list. Colette Coco Weber has relocated to her Catalina Island home, where 20 years before she was the sole survivor of a deadly home invasion. I can already see why I put it over here. All Coco wants is to see her aunt Gwen get as far away from her ex as possible and get back to her craft, writing obituaries. Thankfully, her college best friend Maddie owns the local paper and has a job sure to keep Coco busy, considering the number of elderly folks who are dying on the island. But as Coco learns more about these deaths, she quickly realizes that the circumstances surrounding them are remarkably similar and not natural. Then Coco receives a sinister threat in the mail, her own obituary. As Coco begins to draw connections between the serial killer's crimes and her own family tragedy, she fears that the secrets on Catalina Island might be too deep to survive, because whoever is watching her is hell-bent on finally putting her past to rest. Ooh, so this one is going to be more of a mystery. It seems like it's going to be more thrilling and like on the cover on the edge of the seat type book, and that's kind of where I think reason why I decided to go ahead and put this on. I think also too, the setting is giving me, like, this Catalina Island setting is giving me this island vibe that I think would be kind of dope. And then also the obituary writing, like obituary writers, like that is not to me normal. So I'm pretty excited to dive in and see what this one is about, but I am a little bit nervous with these star ratings. 3.65, it's good, but we'll see. At the end of the day, my taste is very weird, as you can tell. It's a little different, and hopefully by me going through this, it kind of gives you a feel for like the type of books that I read from a fictional standpoint, but then I also like to read other stuff too. So I'm very all over the place with my reading. So guys, that is my top 10 new releases or anticipated new releases of 2023. But there are 3 books that I am not going to go through the synopsis for, that I saw, I read them, and I felt like, okay, these might work for me as well. But I just didn't know if they would be as much in alignment with my taste as the top 10 books that I just put up there are. But you know, there's a high likelihood that some of these might switch around. So the first of that is Black Candle Woman by Diane Marie Brown, which is released on February 28th. The other one is Daughter in Exile by BC Idea Poem, released January 31st. So those 2 are already been released. And then the last one, not set to release until July 2023, is Silver Nitrate by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. As I said before, she also wrote Mexican Gothic, which was a hit or miss for me. But you know, that's the main reason why I put it on the next list, because when I did read the honorable mention list, because when I did read the synopsis, it did seem like something that was up my alley. So we will see. I'm not sure if I'll get to those 3 books, but I'm not sure if I'll get to the 10 books that I just talked about. So yeah, those are my honorable mentions. I'm not going to go into those because I don't want this video to be, it's already long. I don't want it to be too long. And yeah, that is all I have for this video. Please let me know what you guys are anticipating reading in 2023, even if it's not a new release, even if it's something that you just had on your shelf, and because I have plenty of those, I can do a video on that too. But something you have on your shelf that you really want to read this year, let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know if there's some of these that you are like, ugh, this sounds horrible, or some that you're like, okay girl, we are on the same page. Let me know what you think. I love to talk about books. I love to talk about anticipated books, and my goal for this year is to read some newer books. So I usually have a huge backlog, and I end up having to I end up reading older books. So I want to kind of infuse new books with older books, with nonfiction and fiction books and classics and things like that. So I want to kind of give a variety, have a variety of reading. So yeah, that's all I have. Thank you if you kept on this whole long time watching me and listening to me stumble through words on Goodreads. Thank you so much. And yeah, until the next time, I will see you guys later. Peace out. Bye, guys.